Feeling out of place at the suffocating party, Chris returned to her room, suddenly feeling like the lone wolf. But stepping on the stairs, the chatty guest fell silent, staring at her like hunters eyeing prey. Returning to her room, she found her phone charging but unplugged. A magic trick? Was the maid playing tricks on her? Rossi reminded her not to overthink it. With bizarre events that a 1v6 sense, Chris had to confide in best friend Rod about Susan's hypnosis. Rod immediately got alert, like a god seeing a suspect. She reminded Chris about a black man hypnotized into a white sex slave, no joke. Chris shrugged it off, but the maid barged in after she hung up. The maid sheepishly explained that she accidentally bumped the phone while cleaning a true contender for the Apology Olympics. "Don't worry, I promise. I won't tell a soul," she assured. "You've got to admit, this maid has some major confidentiality skills." This line made the maid flinch, as if she had shoved triple espresso. She laughed and cried, "What emotions?" Chris felt chills. It was a show before her eyes. Wanting to get away from the maid, Chris re-entered the party, only to bump into that same black guy she had seen earlier. Talk about she sneakily took a pic but forgot the flash. Boom. It became a blockbuster moment. The man froze at the sudden flash, then pounced at her like a lion that just saw a mouse. "What a scene. I need your help. Come on," he shouted, but Chris thought, "I don't want to be prey." Luckily, Ross's parents, doctors, helped. After Susan's hypnosis, he calmed down. Long live the doctor squad. Even though old Dean said it was just a seizure triggered by the flash, after all that drama, Chris was well over the potty and needed a break. She dragged her girlfriend Rossi to the lake to clear her head. Unbeknownst to them, a silent auction had begun. Everyone wanted to bid on a Chris. Friends at the party were eagerly raising their paddles like it was a Black Friday sale. Chris was utterly clueless that she was the star of the show. As night fell and the pair returned to the villa, the guests had already left, but standing at the door were familiar faces with eager smiles. Looking at Ross's family's mysterious smiles, Chris was blissfully unaware. Talk about naive. The moment she got back in her room, she sent a photo of the man she snapped earlier to her friend Rod, hoping for some detective work. Rod called after receiving the message, telling Chris the photo showed Andre missing for weeks. Chris suddenly recalled that they had played soccer on the beach, feeling like she had been struck by lightning. No, this was my father. It all makes sense now. He attended the party with a 30-year-old white girl, and the fate of a sex slave was horrendous to know. The phone screen suddenly went black, and Chris' heart sank. Clearly, there was a big trap waiting for her here. Oh no. She hurriedly urged her girlfriend to pack and leave, but then the wall cupboard caught her eye. She tiptoed to the cupboard and found it full of photos like a dark secret dossier. Chris flipped through the photos and gasped in horror as they showed Rossi cozying up with other black men, as well as some. It was clear that Chris was not Ross's first black boyfriend. What a chilling dark history. She closed the cupboard to find Rossi quietly waiting at the door, feeling the universe watching her. Chris knew she had stepped into a trap, putting on a brave front as she asked Rossi for the car keys. Rossi searched everywhere in vain, a comic frustration. Chris ignored the mess, dashed downstairs with luggage, only to find little Dean at the door, tension sky high. Ross's parents' once warm hospitality now turned ice cold, and Chris could no longer contain her emotions, rebellion igniting within her. At this moment, Rossi dropped her disguise, and Chris had no choice but to fight her way out. Due to the hypnosis, Chris only heard the cup clinking, then felt electrocuted, crumpling to the ground. Her mind plunged into the abyss again. Waking, she found herself tied to a basement sofa. Chris struggled fiercely, anguish, only to see the TV turn on, displaying Ross's grandpa. Ross's grandpa couldn't beat blacks in sports. He invented the twisted head swap surgery after effort. By simply transplanting a white person's head onto a black body, he could control the black body completely. Now, that's some twisted scheming. Every participant was a link in the stock chain, with Ross's role being to seduce fit black guys outrageous. Susan was in charge of hypnotizing them, while old Dean played the role of a surgeon talk about her crafty old fox. Those partygoers were actually buyers looking to choose their victims' shocking darkness beneath the glamorous facade. As Chris was shocked, the TV screen showed a swelling coffee cup, warning her not to fall into the trap again. Meanwhile, Rod, worried about Chris' safety, called again, but the one picking up was Rossi. She lied, claiming Chris left after an argument. Clever Rod wouldn't believe her. It was like a prank in words. Despite no direct evidence, Rod located Ross's house from their talk. Then, Chris woke up as the TV lit up again. And on the screen was the blind man who had bid a fortune for her. What a dramatic twist. It turned out that to improve the success of the surgery, Virus had to converse with the subjects, like a dangerous audition on steroids. Otherwise, the pre-surgery psychological prep wouldn't be sufficient, and Chris' heart was filled with dread facing the impending nightmare. The blind man told Chris a harsh truth. After surgery, the transferred consciousness won't fully fade, utterly hopeless control. A part remains hidden in the brain. During body operation, lingering thoughts perceive the outside frightening. Stay closely tuned for the progress of Chris' story, and don't forget to use your finger to hit that subscribe button.